or I can. Uh, so, welcome. Namaste. Thank you for joining us this Thursday evening for awakening meditation. And this is an online group. We meet, or we're starting to meet every second Thursday of the month. And our intention is to provide an online space where we can support each other in practicing meditation, in sharing about meditation, and I also love poetry, so I usually sprinkle some poetry in, hopefully related to what we're talking about or what we're practicing. I'm going to invite, oh, it looks like everybody's muted except for me, so that's a good thing. And I'm just going to spotlight myself for now. Um, so, our topic this evening is peace in oneself, peace in the world. And this comes from a calligraphy by my Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. And to me, that's the very essence of meditation, is that we start to practice to create a little bit more peace for ourselves so that maybe we can ripple out a little bit more peace out into the world. And so I invite you to, oh, we got all that people entering. That's great. Welcome. So I want to start with a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, "The moment when you sit down and begin to breathe mindfully, peace has become a reality." And another practice that Thich Nhat Hanh teaches is the practice of listening to the bell. And so I'm going to invite you to listen to 3 sounds of the bell. And this practice is one of intentionally inviting us into sacred space together, inviting us to let go of whatever's happened in our world or in our life today, and to begin to connect inwards to our breath, to our body, to our feelings, to our thoughts, to become present to this moment. And so I invite you to just take a moment, get yourself comfortable, and listen to 3 sounds of the bell. And just take a deep breath in. Just have a sense of your body arriving here now. And become aware of the feeling of your breath, the flow of breath and life. And feel into the sense of the earth holding us, and especially the shape and feeling of the land where you reside. And as you feel into the land where you reside, I invite you to take a moment to acknowledge and be grateful for the indigenous people as the stewards of this land for many generations. So I'm joining from Lethbridge, Alberta, traditional lands of the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika First Nations. We honor the Blackfoot people and their traditional ways of knowing and caring for this land, as well as all Aboriginal peoples who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our community. And so I invite you just to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of the land where you reside and be grateful. And take a moment and become aware of your breath. We're going to be doing lots of breathing this evening and paying attention, focusing on the breath, because breath is life itself. It is a gift. In every breath, we take oxygen into our bodies to nourish and sustain us, and we exhale the carbon dioxide. We are in constant exchange with our environment, and especially with trees, as I think of the trees as the lungs of our planet. And breath is always constant. It moves in us whether we're aware of it or not. And so in the practice of meditation, we make what is usually unconscious conscious, including our breath. I first learned to breathe consciously through my yoga practice, and that was like, oh my goodness, 25, 30 years ago that I started practicing breathing consciously, and it opened up a whole new world to me. And so I hope that tonight you'll get a little glimmer of understanding, and maybe you already have lots of experience with your breath, but I just feel that the breath has so much to teach us. So when we pay attention to the breath, our minds are called into the present moment. We let go of ruminating about the past or worrying about the future. And breathing starts to create space. It creates physically space inside us as we take that air in. It creates space in our minds as our minds begin to slow down. And it creates space in our life to be able to respond from a more grounded, perhaps even a more loving and kind place. So deep breathing and paying attention to the sensations in our bodies as we breathe helps to increase our resilience during difficult times. And we all know that when we're worried and anxious, we can feel our breath. Sometimes it's hard to catch our breath. Our breath speeds up, it gets more shallow. And so that shallow breathing can make us more vulnerable to stress and to illness. When we slow down and take those deep belly breaths, using the diaphragm, that umbrella-like muscle that is our main breathing muscle, it engages the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's a part of the nervous system. Sometimes we say it's rest and digest. It's a place where our nervous system is calmed and soothed, that we're not on overdrive. We're not in fear or flight or fight or flight. So we know that healthy conscious breathing creates this cascade of physiological things that happen. Our heart rate slows down, our respiratory rate slows down, our blood pressure goes down, our immune system, or the response of our immune system, goes up. Deep breathing can also help reduce the risk of a lot of inflammatory diseases, including those that are caused by chronic stress. go ahead. Try it now. Take a deep breath in and then all the way out. And just notice the sensations in your body as you breathe. Noticing on the inhale, there's that natural sense of expansion. And on the exhale, there's that natural sense of softening and releasing. So this ability to notice and slow down our breath gives us a sense of choice in our life, so that even in difficult circumstances, when we can't control anything else, we can at least remember to take one breath and then take another and another after that, creating a little bit more space to respond to whatever's happening. So as I've said before, breathing creates space in our bodies, space in our minds, space in our lives to begin to think and feel and perhaps see situations and other people from a different perspective. When we take time to breathe consciously, it also helps to enliven our imagination. We can be inspired because our mind isn't so cluttered with all those different thoughts. And deep breathing or conscious breathing also can help awaken us to the simple pleasures of life, to notice things that we usually don't notice along the way. So when our breath is free, we actually feel that sense of freedom both outside and within, and just a simple sense of happiness just for the sake of being and living. In her book, See No Stranger, Valerie Carr says that for those who live in bodies that are usually maligned or denigrated by society, breathing consciously, breathing freely can become a political act, a taking back of power for women, for people of color, for Indigenous people, for queer people, trans people, disabled people, anyone who is seen as less than. And I love that idea that breathing can be this act of a political act of freedom. So taking time to breathe is a way to assert that our bodies are worthy. Our bodies are loved. Breathing consciously is a way of expressing our own loving kindness to ourselves. So perhaps when we breathe together consciously, that's an act of love for the world. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to be focusing on our breath and just noticing all the different aspects of our breath. And this will be a guided meditation. Breath is often used as a focus to get us past all those busy thoughts and worries that we have. And so let us breathe consciously together in community this evening. So I'm going to invite you to get comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, it's best to have like kind of a straight back chair and to sit up tall. I'm also going to guide you through what I call breath opening stretches. So our breathing muscles, just like our regular muscles, can get quite tight and constricted, especially if we've been under a lot of stress. You know, everything just kind of gets and feels constricted. So I'm going to start with just a few gentle movements and stretches to open up some of the muscles that we use in breathing. So I'm going to back up from my camera a little bit, and hopefully. So I'm sitting in a chair this evening, and I wonder too, as you're sitting, if you can make sure that you have a little bit of space between your back and the chair there. And so just take a moment, your feet are grounded, you're sitting up tall. And again, it's always good to start with a deep breath. So breathe in deeply, pause a moment, lungs full. And as you exhale, just allow the weight of your body to sink into the chair or the cushion you're sitting on, if that's it for you. And take a moment, we're just going to focus on the shoulders for a moment. So as you inhale, roll the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale as you roll back and down. And do that a few times. Just notice, how are my shoulders today? Always, often we feel like we carry the weight of the world in our shoulders. So just notice. And then just allow the shoulders to relax, but keep that sense of length in your spine as if you're lengthening right up through the crown of your head. And take a moment just to connect to your natural breath. So just notice where you're feeling the breath, where you're feeling openness, where you're feeling tightness. And trust that as we develop this relationship with our breath, over time that breath begins to be able to expand its capacity and open up. And so relax your arms down by your sides and taking just a few breaths with stretching our arms up. So as you inhale, reach your arms up towards the ceiling, reach up to your fingertips. And as you exhale, turn your palms down and release down, just like great big wings. So this is a lovely way to open up our rib cage, give the lungs more space. Inhale, reach up. Exhaling down. Good. Yeah, I can see a few of you practicing with me. Thank you. Inhale, one last time. Stretch up through your fingertips. Feel that lovely length through the side body. And then exhaling down. And we might just want to take that little roll of the shoulders again. So that was a little bit of opening for the side body. Now we're going to stretch up one arm at a time, just to give the rib cage a little bit more opening in those intercostal muscles. So inhale, stretch your arm up and over your side, and exhale, leaning towards the other side. Inhale straight up and exhaling down. And now the other arm, inhaling up, exhale up and over towards the side. See that nice shape. And then inhale straight up and exhale down. Let's do that one more time each side. Inhale, one arm up. Exhale as you lean. Oh, lovely. Inhaling up and exhale down. So you see the inhale is kind of a nice lengthening action. Inhale, lengthening up. Exhale, up and over like a crescent moon. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Beautiful. Give the shoulders a little roll. And just take a moment to notice, can you feel a little bit more space in your rib cage, in your side body? Yeah. And these are simple stretches you can do anytime, anywhere, at your desk. It's good to take these little stretch and breathing breaks. So the next stretch we're going to do is going to target this upper back area. How many people get tight there? Man, oh man. All right. So you are going to stretch your arms in front of you, but you're going to clasp your fingers and then stretch your palms away from you. Now I'm going to turn sideways so you can see, because in this stretch, you want to intentionally kind of hunch over around your back. So you can really feel and breathe into that upper back, the space between your shoulder blades. And again, notice if you're bringing tension anywhere else. Keep your face relaxed. Smile, breathe. So we're breathing into that upper back, space through the backs of the lungs. And then we'll release and let that go. We've got one more area we want to stretch, and that's through the front of the body. So through the collarbones, the chest, through the front of the rib cage. And to do that, I'm going to invite you to, if you're sitting in a chair, to wiggle forwards a little bit. So you have a little bit of space behind you and the chair, so you can clasp your hands. Again, I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. And so as you inhale, lift up through the chest, roll the shoulders back, look upwards, and just feel that lovely expansion broadening across the collarbones, opening up through the chest, the rib cage. Remember not to overdo this. Just feel a lovely stretch. You're looking slightly up. Notice the quality of your breath. Try to keep it nice and smooth and easy. Take one more heart expanding breath, and then exhale as you release and let it go. Take a shoulder roll, maybe shake it out a little tiny bit. You know, it's so nice to start with a little bit of intentional movement before we actually sit down to be still. Because often it's hard to come out of the busyness of our lives and just sit still. So I like to always start with a few little warm-ups. So now we'll move into the more formal part of our sitting meditation. So you are welcome to sit in a chair or on a cushion if you're used to sitting on the ground and you're comfortable that way. And so just establishing that sense of ease and comfort. You do want to keep the spine and the back nice and tall because that helps us breathe better. And when we breathe better, it's more soothing and calming to the mind. So I'm going to go ahead and invite the bell to invite us into this time of meditation together. So simply breathing easily and naturally. No force, no strain. Just take a moment. And you might want to close your eyes if they're open. Helps us connect inwards. And just notice the quality of your breath. And we've had a little bit of time to stretch and open the breathing muscles. And now settling into ourselves, settling into our body and our breath. And so bringing awareness to just the feeling of breathing naturally, not trying to make the breath bigger or more impressive. So we're not intentionally taking deeper breaths here. We're just resting in the natural flow of your breath. You might notice the touch of the breath in and out through your nostrils. Keeping the face relaxed, the jaw, the eyes. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. rolling into a natural rhythm, whatever that is for you. And once you've connected to that natural rhythm, I'm going to guide you into just noticing the breath in different areas of your body. And so begin by bringing awareness to the feeling of the breath in your abdomen. As you breathe in, the belly gently expands. As you breathe out, the belly gently softens. And just notice what that feels like. Let go of any sense of judgment. Be kind to yourself. Maybe bring the breath awareness a little higher up into the front of your rib cage. Notice what that feels like. You breathe in that sense of the rib cage lifting, expanding. And as you breathe out, that sense of softening, settling. Again, just noticing what does it feel like to breathe into the front of your rib cage. And moving up the body a little bit more into the chest, up into the collarbones, noticing the breath there. As you inhale, the chest gently rises. As you exhale, the chest gently releases. Maybe there's a sense of expansion across your collarbones as well. What does that feel like? And then noticing just the full flow and wave-like movement of breath throughout the front of your body, because those places, the breath isn't really separate. It's all connected. So feeling this wave-like action throughout the front of your body. Again, being aware of places where the breath is flowing with ease, and maybe there's places where it's not flowing so easily for you. Begin to simply tune in and notice. And now notice the feeling of the breath in the back of your body. Maybe begin with just the lower back and notice sensation of breath there. And especially if you tend to have strain in your lower back, think about that breath creating some expansion and space. And as you exhale, that softening and releasing discomfort or tension. Moving up the back to the middle part of your breath. You feel and sense the movement of breath in that middle back part. Sometimes this is a really tight area. It's really hard to breathe into the backs of the lungs because our muscles do get tight. And so just noticing what that feels like to bring the gentlest of awareness to the middle part of your back as you breathe. And moving up now to the upper part of the back. Place between the shoulder blades. Can you feel a little bit of movement there? Keep your shoulders relaxed, your face relaxed. Just breathing, just noticing, just being. And just as we did when we were noticing the front body, now connect that all together. Feel that wave of breath, maybe as if it's moving up and down your spine in the back. Allowing the breath to guide your mind. And finally, feeling into the side body. So feeling into the side of your rib cage as you breathe and expand. Maybe you can feel into the sides of your hips and your pelvis as you breathe, creating space there. Maybe feeling the space underneath your armpits as you breathe. Remember, you're not straining and trying too hard. That will work against you. You just want that relaxed breathing exploration of the breath. Allow the breath to, it's almost like it's revealing itself to you. You don't have to do anything. Just pay attention, just watch. Now paying attention to that sense of the multidimensionality of the breath. So imagine breathing from your center, maybe the center of your chest, your heart center, and have a sense of the breath expanding out in all directions, front, back, sides. And as you exhale, that sense of just softening into yourself, into your center. Breathing in, expanding in all directions. Breathing out, that sense of softening. Gently releasing tension or tightness. And often if you find that your mind is busy or those thoughts keep coming in, which is part of the practice. So to help us with that, tonight we're going to add a mantra, the breath mantra, so hum. So as you breathe in, silently saying so to yourself. As you breathe out, silently saying hum. So hum. So hum. And so the so hum mantra is said to be the sound of the breath. And so listen to the sound of your breath. Listen to that sound of the mantra repeating itself silently in your mind. You can continue to feel that movement of expansion as you breathe in, that sense of softening to your center as you breathe out. So hum. And that hum sound contains the invitation to just follow that exhale all the way to the end as it dissolves. To lengthen out the exhale a little bit longer. And noticing that listening space of stillness at the end of each breath. So hum. So we're going to stay in silent meditation for the next little while. So I invite you to stay with that feeling of following your breath. Stay with the so hum mantra if that works for you. Notice how your body feels. Notice the quality of your breath. Perhaps it's slowed down and smoothed out a little bit. And notice the state of your mind. And trust that as you continue to practice and make friends with your breath, that you will find these transformations and changes taking place, creating a little bit more space in your body, in your mind, in your life. Namaste. I invite you to move a little bit, stretch a little bit, do what you need to do to release from sitting still. So we've been kind of starting this little format of, we have our practice, and then I've been choosing a poem. And the poem that I've chosen for tonight is called Wage Peace by one of my favorite poets, Mary Oliver. And so I'm going to start. So this reading of poetry done in a way for us to really take in the words and the meaning. So often these days we're consuming information, we're reading, we're online, we're trying to dig in as much information as we can. This reading of poems now is to just really, and especially after meditation, our minds are really open and right, our hearts are open to the meaning behind poetry. So we're going to read this poem a couple times, and I encourage you to read it in a very contemplative manner. So notice if there's any particular words or phrases that really kind of speak to you, words that sparkle. Notice what that is for you. And a little bit of background for this poem. I think it was written just after 9/11, so over 20 years ago, and you can tell by some of the words what that is. And so I'm just going to read it once, and I just want you to really receive it and listen in. Second time I read it, I will screen share and put it on the screen for us to take a look at, because I know some of you might be more visual than auditory. So, listening. Wage Peace by Mary Oliver. Wage peace with your breath. Breathe in firemen and rubble. Breathe out whole buildings and flocks of red-winged blackbirds. Breathe in terrorists and breathe out sleeping children and freshly mowed fields. Breathe in confusion and breathe out maple trees. Breathe in the fallen and breathe out lifelong friendship intact. Wage peace with your listening. Hearing sirens, pray loud. Remember your tools, flower seeds, clothespins, clean rivers. Make soup. Play music. Learn the words for thank you in 3 languages. Learn to knit and make a hat. Think of chaos as dancing raspberries. Imagine grief as the outbreath of beauty or the gesture of fish. Swim for the other side. Wage peace. Never has the world seemed so fresh and precious. Have a cup of tea and rejoice. Act as if armistice has already arrived. Don't wait another minute. Maybe take a deep cleansing breath there. Oh, and exhale. Breathing peace, waging peace with our breath. So you might have noticed a word or a phrase or something that just really resonated with you. Just be aware of that. I'm going to read it one more time. I'm going to see if I can share it on my screen. All right, hopefully you can see that. Yes? Okay. Wage Peace by Mary Oliver. Wage peace with your breath. Breathe in firemen and rubble, and breathe out whole buildings and flocks of red-winged blackbirds. Breathe in terrorists and breathe out sleeping children and freshly mown fields. Breathe in confusion and breathe out maple trees. Breathe in the fallen and breathe out lifelong friendship intact. Wage peace with your listening. Hearing sirens, pray loud. Remember your tools, flower seeds, clothespins, clean rivers. Make soup, play music. Learn the words for thank you in 3 languages. Learn to knit and make a hat. Think of chaos as dancing raspberries. Imagine grief as the outbreath of beauty or the gesture of fish. Swim for the other side. Wage peace. Never has the world seemed so fresh and precious. Have a cup of tea and rejoice. Act as if armistice has already arrived. Don't wait another minute. Thank you, Mary Oliver. What a beautiful poem. Another one. So we're going to take about 5 minutes and take some time either just to sit and contemplate, or I forgot to tell you to have paper and pen or journals and pen. If you need to run and grab something to write with, go ahead and do that. Sometimes it's nice to kind of write out our feelings. And I have 2 questions for you this evening. One is simply to write about your experience with the breath, and what did you notice about your breath? And the second question is about our poem. What words or phrases really spoke to you? What came up for you when you heard those words? So we just have 5 minutes to write, so you probably don't have time to write about both, but you can always do that later. And afterwards, we're going to move into breakout rooms. So I'm going to have Catherine stop the recording now, and I'll just bow into those of us, those that are watching the recording later, and say namaste. Thank you for joining us.